Welcome to this session today using Google Docs for collaboration. So today I will be presenter for this Tech Tuesday, and it's going to be a bit of a practical workshop where I'm going to pause and let you answer a bit and explore how you can use Google Docs. Okay, so let me start. Just before we start, I just want to make sure you can see only my one screen, right? Asha did say yes, but just want. Okay, it's not moving. Huh. Okay, so before I go through using Google Collaboration, I first just want to talk about why collaboration is very important. And I'm going to bring that back to deep and meaningful learning, which is the instructional design framework that we've been working with. And the big thing about learning is that you need to make it personal for the student, and that they can make meaning themselves. And the collaborative learning component allows us to to co-construct an understanding and to build on one another's perspectives and ideas and so forth. And in that way, the whole classroom, can grow, and they can learn to appreciate the team members and so forth perspectives. So so collaborative learning is a very important component to create deep and meaningful learning. So the first component I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and you can decide. So depending on which question you like, you can decide to answer that question by clicking on the link, which I will share in the chat function. So I'm quickly going to share both links, and then you just go and answer that question on the Google Doc, and then we'll look at the feedback. So I'll give you about 5 minutes for that. Let me just find my cursor. That's the one thing about using 2 screens. Okay, so let me just... Okay, so this is question 1. And this is question 2. So I'll give you 5 minutes to quickly answer those questions, and then we'll look at the feedback.
Janus, are these in the chat function, the chat section?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not seeing them. That could just be my setup.
Can everyone else see the chat?
Yeah.
Stephen, I'll share it with you in. So which one do you want to go to, and I'll share it with you in a Teams chat?
No, they've come through. Thanks, Janus. I've got them here.
Okay. Hey everyone, for those that just joined, so I posted 2 links in the chat. With the first link is to question 1 and the second link is to question 2. Just choose a group or a question that you would like to answer and just click on that link. Okay, right. I think let's leave it there and look at the feedback. So I actually embedded the Google Docs right into a WASI page, which I'll speak to a bit later. But let's look at the feedback. So there's question 1. What do you already know about using Google Docs for collaboration? Okay, so not much. I use this for feedback, but haven't used in collaboration. Catherine Burns, yeah, I use this for much of my work and have found it useful for joint paper writing. That's the other thing I am actually going to talk to you about is using Google Docs, not just for teaching, for learning, but also here and there where you can use it like Catherine mentioned, for paper writing or for instructional design purposes, sharing resources and so forth. Okay, I've used Google Docs to show students how to work on group projects together. They are doing an audit project, great. Not actively, but useful with team document development. Google Docs are fantastic for getting students to collaborate on shared documents. You can share a document with specific groups of students and make it accessible only to them. And not a lot, I've used it intermittently. Use it for sharing documents with staff. Okay, then the second question is, do you already use Google Docs for collaboration? And if so, how are you using it? So I've used it, but not really know how it works. So did I? Yeah. I've used team management communication to work on collaborative documents. I use it with graduate students for tracking work on thesis. We use Google Docs with our students for different collaborative writing exercises for audit projects. We have been using it for group work. Okay, so it seems like most of the people on the project have actually used it a lot. Okay, so let's move on. Let me just. Okay. So before I start, I'm going to start giving a bit of background taking you through how to log into Google Docs and so forth for those that actually haven't used it before. And the first thing is there's a whole range of Google products. So if you log into Google, you can click on the 9 dots next to the J, which is my name. And you'll open up and you'll find Drive, Doc Sheet, Slides, Calendar, Meet, Currents, which is sort of like a Twitter for within the organization and so forth. So there's quite a few nice things that you can do with that. Sites, if you want to build project site like portfolios, or although I would rather use the portfolio function on Owazi, but there's a lot of things that you can do with the Google Suite. The other nice thing is that Google Suite is available on your phone. So a lot of time, if I'm bored in like if on the train or whatever, you can sit and write on your phone. So or your tablet. So it makes it a lot easier or convenient. Okay. So the next step is that you can use Google Docs in two ways. You can either log in directly to your Google Docs account, which I'll quickly show you. If you, so let me just open an incognito page. So if you go to Google and you say sign in, you just have to sign in with your A00671.ac.vit, so your staff number at vits.az.za, and then you can log into the Google Drive. The second component is you can log into Owazi and you can go to the collaborations function. So if you click on the collaborations function, students can either create their own collaborations, or you can say start a new collaboration. You can assign people and groups, and you can also decide whether you want to use Google Docs or Google LTI. So that Google LTI allows you to create use Google Slides or any of the other Google products for collaboration. So and so students can also use this component to create their own sites or Google Docs. So I'll just quickly show you. If you look at that, students have already started creating current collaborations on HSS. Okay, let's go on. I'm quickly going to go through some of the main tools that you could use in Google Docs, which makes it a really nice software to use. So I'll demonstrate some of that to you. So let me just take this back again. So let's open the document that you worked on, and just give me a second. No. Yeah, okay. So sharing a document and sharing settings. So if you look at the screen here, these are all anonymous people. So you can actually see who's working on the document at the same time. And you can also open a chat function where you can actually chat to the people on the document if you're working collaboratively, so to discuss specific things. But you could also use the comment section, which I will use in a bit, or explain in a bit. So the sharing settings is where you will share your document, and you can say editors can change permissions and share. Viewers and commenters can see the option to download, print, and copy. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of how you can share. The other thing is you can also make it only available to people within VITs, or anyone, or restricted. I did, however, have to ask IT to activate my sharing ability with anyone outside the organization, because it didn't have it automatically in. So I don't know if that's for everyone, but if you want to share it with people outside the organization, just send VIT IT an email. And you can select viewer, commenter, editor. And basically what I did with this is I selected the copy link, and I used the copy link to first of all embed in Ulwazi, like I showed you. And I also used that to share on the chat so that you could all add the document or edit the document. The next component is that there's a activity dashboard, so you can see who the document is shared with. So if you clicked on the share settings and you add people, like I'll add Shira, and I say send. So if I click on this, it will show who's on there, but it will also show you who viewed the document. So you can see when last someone was on. So I'm going to use a document that we are currently working on, and as you can see, I was on this afternoon, Ashad Saturday, Thursday for the other three. You can also email, so one recipient selected to email, and you can email the contributors directly from here. You can also look at viewer trends. So this is quite good, like quite nice for analytics to see, if students are working on the document and so forth. You can look at comment trends, so who commented when, and sharing history. So if the document was shared with more people, so so if, for example, Shira now goes and shared this document with other people, you can see on the activity dashboard. Okay, so that is the activity dashboard. The next one is, okay, so we covered the viewers list and chat. So that's the viewers list and the chat function, which you can open up. The next component is version history. So this is quite nice if you're working on a document and you might have actually deleted a component. You can click on this, and you can move between versions to see who worked on a document where. So it's quite nice to, if students collaborate and students complain, but one student didn't contribute to a document, you could see who wrote what on a document. Because it highlights everyone's contributions. Okay, so that's under file. Sorry. Let's just take the next one. Then email collaborators. So you could do it under the activity like I showed you, but there's also a function that if you have a group of people, you can directly just, so there's no collaborators for this document. But if I go to that one and I say, yeah, email collaborators, everyone that I added to this document, like I add Shira and so forth, you can email them, and you can also email the file from there. Then, okay, the next function, which is quite nice, is the comments and assign function. So what you could do is you could highlight and you can assign this to someone. So if I want them to see this, I can then just say, okay, assign to a shard, please change the time. Okay, I'm not going to change the spelling. And then you can also view that at the comment history. So you can see, see all the comments, and you can also set notifications for yourself. Okay. Then the other nice component is if multiple people are working on a document. So like Catherine mentioned, an article, and you want to see where somebody is working, you can add a suggesting function, and you can then start with, we are discussing the collaboration function, and it basically adds in here together. There we go, function. It adds it as a comment bar, and you can then, so the person that reviews it can just go and accept it, and you can easily move from editing to suggesting. So in terms of making sure that, so if for example somebody is working on a document and they're copying and pasting it over, so we use it for instructional design purposes. So in that way you can see where someone is working on the document while somebody else is maybe copying the content over to Ulwazi, and so forth. But it's also good for students when they all work on a project to see if somebody edited a specific paragraph and what edits they made to that paragraph. Okay, then the next function is, sorry, okay. So the next function is embedding a Google Docs sheet slides in Ulwazi. So like I mentioned, you have the collaboration component that you can add where students can create collaboration, but you can also directly embed the document. So in this case, what I did for self-directed learning, I told them create a guide for working in virtual teams. So I shared a list of resources about how to work in virtual teams, and they had to take that information and condense it and create a list, and they can literally work directly on Ulwazi in the embedded document. So so you take the sharing, it is a bit more complex. You have to take the sharing function, and then I take an iframe generator. So iframe generator, and you take the Google Doc that you want. So this one, say share. For this one, I say anyone with the link, because then students that can easily access it even without, so when they open the link, they can easily access that without having to be logged in. You say generate and you just copy that code over to your Uwazi page. Where's the one that I created? Sorry, just open a new one. So when you edit it, you just click on, so I want it at the bottom. You click that edit button there, so which is switch to HTML editor, and you just go and paste it, and you paste it back. And if you scroll down, there's the document. You could also change the width and height of the document, which if you look there at height, if I make it 400 or like 600 and 800, you'll have a bigger document. But yeah, that's as easy as that.
Janus, Richard has his hand up.
Okay. Yeah, I was just about after this to go to questions. So I'm done with this. Any questions, Richard?
No, I think it's just to repeat that last bit. I'm so pleased that I'm not the only one asking and appearing to be to not have caught on, but because in the chat as well. But it's just that what are we doing with that iframe generator exactly? Does that, as opposed to just the link, what are you actually doing there? What's the purpose of that and why?
So the iframe generator is basically so that you could embed the document. So as you see here, I embedded a slides, and I also embedded the document directly onto Uwazi. So if you open the page, so let me quickly show you that again. So if you look at the page that the students are on, they can directly work in the Uwazi page without leaving the environment. Granted, you can post the link there, so that they click on the link and open that in a new window.
Yeah.
So if you post the link there, it will open the Google Docs in a new window. Whereas if you use the iframe, it posts it right in the environment, so you don't have to go out of it. You can literally just work in the same
Yeah, very valuable. Just take us through that again quickly. How you did that?
Okay.
Thanks.
So, because coding is not my strong suit, so I look for iframe generator because it's an iframe that it creates. Just a piece of code. The only thing that you need to do is take your document, which you take the copy link. Okay, so I copied the link for this document. I did put the sharing settings so that anyone can open it. You can keep it within the bits environment, but the reason why I'm doing that is that if students decide to open the link outside the session, they can still edit it. But if it's, for security reasons, if it's sensitive information and so forth, then you will only do it within the bits environment. And then you just add it to that component that says iframe URL. So you can then say generate, but you can preview it as well. So here it shows you how big the window is going to be. What you can do is, like I mentioned, you can change the size a bit. So I can, okay, you would have to, it seems like you would have to change the size. Oh, you can change it here at the top. So let's make it 800 and 600. And then let's preview it again. So there you can see the document's a bit bigger. But then all you do is generate the code, you copy it, and on your session, so you go to edit, and where you want to place the document, you so a tip for this, because if you want to sort of place it in the middle of content, it's very difficult when you keep look at the HTML code where exactly to post it. So what I do is I just add 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Because then you can easily, when you do that, there's where, so this is where I want to post it. So I'm going to delete that, and I just paste the code for that document in. And when I press it back, the document is embedded. So there's the document in that size that I just posted. And you save it. And and there's the document that you can work on. Okay, any more questions? Sorry, I'm trying to see the chat. Okay, any more questions on this? Okay, so the other component to this, the next step is that you can publish to the website. So what you do, so this document was published and not shared the link. The difference between the two is that when you share the link and create an iframe, the document is editable. Whereas if you print the document, so when you publish it to website, it's a static document that they can view, but they cannot edit. So how you do that is you just go to File, and you go to Publish to the Web, and you can take again the embed code, and there's a few like restrict access. If you wanted to, you just say publish, say okay. You can also, there's one, sorry, you can say publish edits, but see, that automatically creates the iframe code that you want. So you'll take that and you go back to your Google Docs part, you say edit, and I want to paste it here, so let's just do that again. Okay. And let's say save. I should have taken the rest of the ones out, but it's okay for now. So there you have the document and you can view it. But if you look at that, see, I can highlight, but I cannot edit the document. It's a static document. So that's the difference between taking the sharing link and adding it to an iframe and publishing it to the site. So you can decide to put, you can create static documents that you can publish and embed in your site, or you can create collaborative documents that you can also embed and people can add directly to the site. So I'll just quickly show you. So this is the one assessment that we created. The other session I created like this is we created this continuous professional development session where students have to identify 3 21st century skills that they're going to focus on, and we share this document with them that they can add resources to help one another develop and grow. So if they find an interesting article or a website or a blog and so forth, they can add it here so that everyone in the class have access to this. So the other way that I've used it with the first year students is to create a terminology sheet so that students can add difficult terms with the definition so that it's available to the whole classroom. And the link they can also keep somewhere else. Yeah. So I actually gave some answers away for the next question, but before we move on, do you have any other questions? So Catherine, in terms of your question about being spammed with the open method, if students outside the university, so if students share the link with anyone outside the classroom, so anyone that has access to the link can edit that specific document. So that's why I say if it's sensitive information, it's best to then do it within the, so restricted only to university, to the University of the Witwatersrand, because then only people within the university can access it, but still anyone with the within the university can still access the document. Okay, so
Can you just say that last sentence again, Janus? Anybody within the...
Yeah, so anyone within the university. So if you're restricted to the University of the Witwatersrand, anyone can still, so let's say, for example, I created the document and you shared the link or with somebody within the university, like let's say, for example, you share it with Shira, she can still see the document. So, yeah.
Right. So there's just to clarify, there's no possibility that somebody who doesn't have a WITS access code would be able to come in, even if someone inadvertently shared it to somebody, say at UJ or someone overseas. I just wanted to check that.
So if you go to share and you say this, change, so where it says restricted, you can say restricted, which you only share it with specific people, or University of the Witwatersrand. So only people with a WITS access code, when they log in with into the Google Drive using their Google using their WITS credentials, only they would be able to access the document, and only if you shared the link with them. Okay. So Shira won't be able to access this document if you didn't share it with her.
That's very helpful. Sorry to take up time with that question, but right. As we expand our use of this, I always think, you know, what if people are putting, you know, original ideas, testing things out, all those usual things. Thank you.
Only a pleasure. Sorry, I see someone's hand went up. Just can't.
It's me, Janus, sure.
Sure.
Every time you use me as an example, I think, should I be doing something? I just wanted to say that if you're going to be embedding the Google Docs into Allwisey as a kind of class working document, then you've really got double protection, because you can only log into the Allwisey course if you're registered as either a student or teacher on that course. So in a way, it's double protection if we're going to use the learning management system. But if you're just using Google Docs as working documents in general, then you do need to remember every time to make sure that you choose the level of security that you want in terms of who's going to have access to that document.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Thanks, Shira. I think just on that note, when you create a document, I think it's automatically set to restrict it to the University of the Witwatersrand. Let me quickly create one to see. But I think it automatically, and you have to, okay, let's just save it. So yeah, restricted. So it's automatically restricted to that. And then you need to go and change it. And it's first of all viewer. So you also need to change it to editor if you want someone to edit. So that's, I actually want to open it up to anyone, and then it's still only viewer, and then you just have to go and click on editor and done. And then now if I share this document, it's open to anyone with the link. Okay, any other questions before I move on to the next question for you to think about? Okay, right. Let me quickly just open PowerPoint. So the next, why is it not clicking next? It seems like I'm a bit technologically challenged today. I've been trying to use 2 screens to make it easier, but it seems not to be as... Okay, so the next question, yet again, you can decide which group you want to go to, question 3 or question 4. I'll share the links in the document, in the chat, sorry. So that's question 3. How do you think Google Docs can be used for collaborative learning? Name all the activities that you can think of. And then what existing activities do you currently use that can be improved or extended using the collaboration features in Google Docs? So thinking about your current practice that you could maybe take online. Okay, and that's 2. I'll give you 5 minutes to complete that. Okay, right. I think let's look at everyone's feedback. So this is question 2, question 3. Okay, so portfolio of learning activities, presentation by students as a e-logbook, small group learning projects, and for us on the extended training platforms with parallel rotations happening, an activity that bridges geographical spaces. Showing rather than telling students in a group how to co-create work and how work emerges in layers, working with students, peers between data sets and original archival material, showing how work is not linear, but rather how we work backwards and forwards between analysis, questions, and data. Problem-based learning activities. Great. The patient case information can be captured in one document. Information captured can be used for small group learning and discussion, interprofessional activities. Different student groups can educate each other on their roles and responsibilities. Okay, let's quickly look at question 4. How do you think Google Docs can be used for collaborative learning? Name all the activities that you can think of. So team collaboration on reviewing of current logbooks, structure, student assessment, marking exams, academic discussion. So the nice thing about using Google Docs is because it's so easy to add comments and so forth, it's very good for feedback with marking. Working on articles together, making assessments collaboratively, especially MEQs to help with inter-rater reliability, real-time moderation of assessments, supervision of research reports and theses, brainstorming project business plans, reviewing documents together, group work for students. Okay, great. So I also added a few, I don't know why this is not changing. Try this one. Okay, so that was mentioned, whole class brainstorming sessions or individual student responses. You could also see what students' prior knowledge is as a spark question. So what we what I did with that session here, where you maybe give them information, is that you can start your session with a spark. So we to gauge interest is to ask them what their prior knowledge is. You can add your Google Docs in this section as well for them to first share the information before you actually start with the lesson. Then projects, you can also use it for group presentations. So Google Sheets makes it very easy to collaborate on presentations. The other nice thing is that you can ask students to create a collaborative notebook, so that when they listen in class, everyone has access to the notes, or you can add a document. So let's say, for example, you have video, you'll do voice over PowerPoint online. Next to it, you can have a note, a Google Docs, which they can take notes as they go along. Because I think note taking should still be done, even if you learn online, because it's a good skill for students to also help them concentrate. So you can definitely add that, or collaborative, allow them to do collaborative note taking. You can also do sign in and sign up sheets with using Google Sheets, sharing documents through a folder. So you can create a Google Docs folder and share lots of resources like journal articles and so forth that's easily accessible. Then the resource sharing that I mentioned, you can create an Excel spreadsheet where you could tell students to share resources with one another, and peer review. So if, for example, if you looked at this document, so there's some of them that are anonymous. So it's people that didn't log in. So what you, oh no, that's Shira. I did see some anonymous animals on that. There we go. So anonymous jackalope and anonymous llama. If I take this document and you tell students, for example, to add it open it in an incognito window, that they don't see that they are not signed into this document, they can anonymously give feedback, because if you open this document, you'll see I've also now come up as a anonymous jackalope or elephant or whatever other animal is available. So then you can give peer feedback on a document. So that's also an option. Any other ideas?
Sorry, so Janus, if I may, are we all anonymous, or for just clicking on your link? No.
So no, people
Okay.
that are signed in to Google Drive will not be anonymous when they click on the link. It's only when you signed out of Google Drive or if you open it in an incognito window that you will be anonymous. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, get it. Thanks.
Okay. The only other thing, so we, for example, use Google Sheets for curriculum mapping because it's nice and collaborative and everyone can see. And you can, for example, embed your documents right into your curriculum map, which, for example, if you want to share different resources with students and so forth, it could be a visual that, okay, so they can click. If you have different resources to share with them, you can plot it out nicely in an Excel spreadsheet, and it will pop up like this to show the resource. You could also make nice comments, which there, and add additional notes, which could take your just add a lot more depth to your document. And yeah, that is it. So
excellent.
Sorry,
Janus, thank
Thanks,
you.
Janus.
Janus, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. I hope you enjoyed this session. And
thank you.
No, I think colleagues, just to reflect, I think this session has been we've had 6 sessions now, 2 health professionals, health science educational journal clubs. We've had 2 learning workshops, and this is the 2nd Tech Tuesday. And next week we would welcome you back to the next session, which will be a workshop on essentially health system sciences and the opportunities therein for all of us and for the faculty, for the program itself, etc., as the 3rd pillar of medical of health sciences, should we say. So we look forward to that. That will be next week, presented by Catherine and Stephen. Just to remind you that we're going to be ramping up with regards to participation for doing significantly more faculty marketing to our faculty for participation. So I think we've got proof of concept now with respect to this particular model of professional learning and offered through the Department of Family Medicine and Primary Care and the Center for Health Sciences Education. So we'll be ramping up significantly. I do want to remind colleagues, if there's anything that you would like to suggest as a particular topic within any one of those 3 Tech Tuesdays, Journal Club, or learning workshops, then please do. I'm not sure if we've received any from for our entreaties, for our pleas, Janus and Shira to date. But I will say again. So let's hopefully get some topics in that people would like us to have a session on at some point through the year. And with that, thank you again, Janus. Really useful to have this very practical sense during these Tech Tuesday sessions. And I know the interns in the background are, if not in the foreground, are also very much part and parcel of the Tech Tuesdays. So thank you to yourself and to the interns. Colleagues, thank you very much. I
just want to leave a closing remark before we go.
Please.
In terms of, on the screen, I've got the snaps for the learner-centered teaching approach for clinical education, which I recently read a BME review on it as well, that thinking about how we could possibly use Google Docs and Owazi to facilitate snaps online. But I'm leaving that over to you to go think about.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We will do exactly that. Colleagues, thank you very much for your participation. Look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Oh, no, wait a minute, colleagues. Next week, Tuesday? It's not next week, Tuesday. Sorry. Am I correct? Is it not a holiday next week, Tuesday, or am I incorrect?
That's
no,
Tuesday
it's the
following.
It's the Tuesday following.
Yes.
It's the Tuesday following. I had a moment's panic there. Wonderful. Next week, Tuesday, 2 o'clock. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.